Fedor's that's a big fish to land.
Yeah, it was a spectacular signing for Strikeforce and obviously for Showtime. It was in the works for a long time. This wasn't something that happened in a week's time. We were working on the relationship, making sure they understood all the assets that we could bring to the table, and making sure they were comfortable and that we were comfortable with them and where they wanted to take Fedor and M1. And it all came together, and our business model and theirs synced up, and we're really looking forward to the relationship.
So how do you react to people who question the business model and say it's not going to work, that the guy will put you out of business?
Well, I think we're very comfortable that's not going to happen. This is a very responsible deal for all sides, and I think that we're all going to make a lot of money and exciting fights together for a long time to come.
Do you have the roster to make good fights for him? Because the rumor we're hearing, and I don't know whether you can comment on this or not, but the rumor we're hearing is Rico Rodriguez, which, quite frankly, is not a very good fight. So that, to me, is the biggest challenge here, is finding really attractive opponents for Fedor.
Well, it is going to be a challenge, but he's never shied away from fighting anybody, and we're gonna work on the roster of heavyweights that we have to challenge him. And I haven't had any conversations yet. We have to get through this weekend, which is a spectacular show, before we start focusing on what's going to be coming up for Fedor in October. But rest assured, if you look at our history in sports, and if you look at Scott Coker's history in Strikeforce, there are no easy outs. Nobody gets easy walkover fights. These are going to be tough fights, and Fedor's going to be matched as competitively as anybody.
So we covered all the MMA. We cover UFC heavily. We cover you guys heavily. We cover a lot of boxing. We had heard so much about this initial Fedor negotiation with UFC, and then afterwards the picture was painted that they're impossible to deal with. How did you get a deal done, basically? I know you said you worked on it for a long time, but it's kind of like they made their offer, and then literally within 4 or 5 days, you guys negotiate, sew it up, finish it. So what was the difference?
Well, I think the difference, again, is that our approach to the sport and to them was compatible, and UFC's, I guess, wasn't. And sometimes it's not about the dollars you put on the table at the moment. Sometimes people have a more long-term vision of where they want to take their business, and that worked to our favor.
I told a lot of people the M1 thing about co-promotion on the surface may seem outrageous, but it truly comes from the boxing model. So their mindset on it really wasn't that nuts. And, if Gary Shaw comes to the table and he's got 2 elite boxers and he's working with Golden Boy, I suppose Golden Boy could say, well, screw this, we're Golden Boy, who are you? But if he's got a commodity, then they certainly can at least make the case for 50-50.
Yeah, well, that model is absolutely correct. And you want to match the best fighters, and you want to match the best talent. And M1 has a global look at the sport, and they can get things out of this deal that UFC wasn't prepared to give them on the international front, and that was important to them. And I think that we're looking at a sea change in terms of the way this talent pool is going to be allocated among the 2 promotions, and we have a lot to offer, and I think it's going to be very attractive to fighters from here on out.
We're getting ready for the Strikeforce card main event. You got Cyborg going against Carano. We'll get to the card. We got to address this stuff though, because we don't get a chance to talk to you a whole lot just on the kind of the landscape with MMA. And Ken Hirschman's with us from Showtime. So what do you make of UFC's reaction? I sat in front of Dana White last week in Philadelphia, got a video of him when he started kind of going down the path of first trashing Fedor, but then kind of moving on to you guys and saying it's not going to work. He started calling Strikeforce Strikefarce, right, and said that you basically don't have the vehicle to get the guy the exposure he wants. So how do you react to something like that?
Well, I think that those statements are the sign of somebody who if we were that irrelevant, he wouldn't be making those comments. And it's unfortunate, but that's his personality and that's his style. But to us, it's just a ringing endorsement of what we've done and what we've accomplished. Remember, they have a 100 event head start on Strikeforce, and I think what Scott's done in a very short period of time shows the power of Showtime as a vehicle.
Well, I'll say one of the things, you guys, and there's a lot of positives because the Strikeforce cards that we've covered so far have been really good. The other positive is I don't know that it's a good thing to have leaks in the ship all the time. And the Fedor thing was, I thought, was handled nicely because nothing ever came out. And I know you don't want to go nuts on this, but some of the stuff in the past with Elite XC got out of control. And sometimes when there's too many leaks, it's not productive.
Yeah, no, I think that the professionalism that Strikeforce has shown throughout this whole relationship, as early as it's been, is terrific. But I think I don't want to get into the Elite XC stuff, but I do want to say, when you look at Showtime and what we have to offer on the boxing front, the mixed martial arts front, all the movies, all the series, when you compare that to every month having to shell out $50-$60 for UFC pay-per-views, I think that really what Dana White's reacting to is the value proposition that we bring to the table, and there is no better value proposition than Showtime if you're an MMA fan.
How do you react to him trying to counter-program with UFC 100 this weekend?
Well, we're used to it, and that, again, shows signs that, we're making headway. And I think, again, counter-program all you want. There are plenty of opportunities to watch this show live and on delays after the fact, and it's all part of the subscription price. So you can watch it on demand. You can watch it on Showtime, too. You can watch it live. We make this very accessible to our subscribers because that's, the business model we're in. If you get value out of Showtime and you love the MMA, then you get all the boxing, all the movies, all the series for free. And for $25 a month, you can buy 2 pay-per-views from UFC, or you can get 2 months of Showtime. Actually, 1 pay-per-view of UFC, or 2 months of Showtime. It's a no-brainer.
Well, speaking of competitors, are you surprised? Is it an arrogance thing, or what's the deal with HBO that they have had no interest, and you guys have been interested in MMA for years now?
Don't mention that.
Don't tell them.
Don't mention that. No, we're going to just let that one go.
Sneak it by them, huh?
Yeah. We're very happy with the state of play in the premium television category.
My other initial thought when you signed Fedor, wasn't really shocked because I think you've got other things or in the hopper ready to throw out there, potentially pay-per-view, and what's going on with the CBS deal. I would think that would be attractive to Fedor and his camp.
Yeah, I think we all want CBS to get back into this sport, and we're working on that, and they'll make their decision, and when they do, we hope it's a green light.
How tough a nut is that to crack? I mean, they did well. I mean, obviously there was a little embarrassment afterwards with some of the fight-fixing nonsense and the fact that Kimbo lost, on a punch that didn't look like a big punch, but the events all did well for him.
The events did well. The fights were great, absent that one, and you can't control what happens in the ring every once in a while. You get a weird result, but we think it delivered. It delivered on the demos. It delivered on the attention. And, look, they're a public broadcaster, and they have responsibility, and they have to do things carefully, and it's up to them to decide what to do. And, we're here to support them and help them get to the right decision, and they'll make it.